I think that the overwhelming sense is of relief. It's been a very, very hard and complex project. We wanted to get it open to two-way traffic as soon as we could, but my overriding factor in all this is we weren't going to do anything until we were 100% certain it was safe. So I appreciate the patience of everyone who's had to wait longer than any of us had anticipated, but it is now open to two-way traffic, still under a weight limit.
Manda, it's way over schedule, and I would imagine a lot more money has had to be thrown at it. How much has all of this cost, and who is paying for it?
So I'll take the schedule thing first. To be fair to us, we did say we wouldn't really know what needed to be done until the concrete came off. And when the concrete came off, it was far worse than we had anticipated. The original scope of works we have brought in at the money that we were given as our grant funding from the DFT. But as I'm sure you know, it is a primary route network, therefore we had to keep going, we had to make sure that we could open it to two-way traffic. And the exact source of that funding and how that's going to be done is still under negotiation. But what we couldn't do is stop all the work and keep the bridge closed whilst we were sorting that out. But there are various pots of money, none of which are Bath and North East Somerset council taxpayers' money. They're all central pots, and one of those will fund the work.
Well, yeah, understandably, a lot of ratepayers, taxpayers, are concerned that that extra money is going to be found out of their council tax. No. Can you reassure them completely that they won't be paying?
I can reassure completely that because this is something that we had to do because it was a national imperative, the funding will come from a national source.
Because you're not exactly flush with cash, are you, as an authority?
I mean, I think we're the same as every local authority up and down the country in terms of the fact that our grants have been cut and revenue has gone down. We are better off than some local authorities, I have to say, and that's because of the prudent financial management we've been doing, and because we have the Roman Baths and we have the Victoria Art Gallery. But compared to when I was first a councillor 12 years ago, not only do we have approximately 50% of the money that we had then, now 80% of that plus is ring-fenced for statutory services. So the amount of money we have left to deliver the things that people can see very visibly, like waste collections, highways work, libraries, crematoria, street lighting, is a fraction of what it used to be.
Might it have saved money if the bridge had been attended to before now?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I do believe that overall your point is well made, that there should be more focus on a sinking fund for some of the maintenance of some of the assets that we hold. The bridge is so unique and there had to be such bespoke engineering solutions. I'm not certain it would have mattered necessarily if work had been done before. What I do feel very strongly is that the moment it was made clear that work needed to be done, that should have been started. And in fact, it was the Lib Dem administration that really kicked off the work, specified it, where it was known for quite a while that these repairs did need to be done.
You touch on something of interest there. We are talking about excuse me, but it is a man-made structure. Yeah. There are other bridges of a similar age, if not older, in the city. I'm thinking of bridges like North Parade Bridge, which I think is around about the same time, and of course Pulteney Bridge itself. I'm told both of them are showing signs of wear. Are you concerned that there might be another bridge lurking in the shadows to test you?
Cleveland Bridge is unique. You're right about the age of all of them, but it was the mechanism by which they use the hanging bars to support it, which is the thing that made it so unique. That is not the case for either Pulteney Bridge or North Parade. We do a regular assessment of bridges, along with all the other assets that we have. And in fact, we get reports in from people when they see there's, if there's a little bit of cracking or a buddleia bush has managed to embed itself in.
Well, Manda, sorry to interrupt, but I can tell you that the cracking on the side of Pulteney Bridge, on the Victoria Gallery side of the bridge, have increased in recent years.
Yes, so as I say, that's monitored on a very regular basis, And indeed North Parade, I think we're looking to do some work. We need to put scaffolding just around it, but we're looking to do some work on it. No, don't pull that face with me.
Is that another nightmare in the offing?
It's not another nightmare. Let me touch some wood. It's not another nightmare in the offing, because what we're not doing is the kind of refurbishment that we had to do to Cleveland Bridge that basically was end of life. What we're doing to it is making sure that the maintenance is kept at the appropriate level. But again, your point is well made. All these bridges were built at a time when we didn't have 44-ton plus HGVs, and although obviously we've got the weight limit and the car limit on Pulteney Bridge, they are not really fit for modern day purpose.
So somebody's going to have to deal with that issue at some point in the future.
They will, and what I'm trying to do currently, as you may or may not know, is I work with Western Gateway and I lead on their freight strategy. A lot of these HGVs, a stat that really surprised me a couple of weeks ago, but it shouldn't have done, is that 40% of them are empty, because it's a commercial organisations and they're all in competition with each other. So they go one way, they deliver, and they come back empty. And there is room for an extra 30% of what's currently used on the road to go via rail. So we've just got a feasibility study about how we can actually put more of the freight on rail. And so far it's going incredibly well, because the answer isn't to try and retrofit something that wasn't fit for purpose in the first place. The answer is make sure that that kind of traffic does not come back through Bath.
I've got to say, I'm hearing already, Amanda, going back to Cleveland Bridge, and I know cameras have been installed to catch anyone who doesn't comply with the weight limit, but I'm hearing the big lorries are crossing already.
Yeah, I saw one yesterday. I do find it, maybe I'm naive on this, I do find it phenomenally disappointing in that in order to get to that bridge, they've had to pass about 14 or 15 signs. It's on the sat-nav. There is no excuse for not knowing. We have two mechanisms now by which we are tracking this and monitoring it, and ultimately can actually take people to court for it. As I'm sure you know, we can't actually enforce a weight limit. That's down to the police, because that's a criminal offence. And they are aware of the fact the bridge is open, and we're asking for some resource if we can for that. But the cameras that you refer to, the AMPR cameras, we are looking to see if we can do something via a trading standards mechanism, which in the first case would mean a letter would be sent. But ultimately, if someone is a repeat offender, we could choose to take them to court. I hope it doesn't become necessary. I hope that the strength of our feeling, the strength of the letters we are sending to people will stop any operator who wishes to do that in a community-minded way, does not use us as a cut-through.
How long is the government going to let you have a weight limit on that bridge?
So it depends on what happens with the monitoring. We've got an intelligent monitoring system on the bridge, and it's only been open to two-way traffic now. It's not a week yet, so we've got nowhere near enough data to say whether or not that is something that we could look to extend and put heavier traffic on as well. So I'm afraid I don't know an actual timeline at the moment.
Because at the end of the day, it's the government's decision, not yours.
It is. At the end of the day, it is the government's decision until and unless we can get the primary route network moved, until and unless we can get less freight coming through the area overall, and until and unless we get to a stage where we can work with the haulage industry and try and incentivise them not to use that as a route.
Away from the bridges, we all know that Bath is a city built on cellars. There's plenty of evidence going around the inner city streets of depressions, shall we say, in the road. Are we reaching a stage where there's a case for a complete weight limit to cover the whole of central Bath? Are you not worried that a lorry of size or a bus or a coach is actually going to go through the road?
So even with the weight limit, when you put a weight limit on, if people wish to do deliveries, that weight limit doesn't apply to them. I have less of an issue with deliveries coming to our own industry, our own shops, our own retail. And of course, as I've always said, safety is the first, so we do check all our vaults, etc. Sometimes it's the volume of traffic, not just the weight, that's the issue. If I was a benevolent dictator, Bath is sufficiently special, being it's got 2 World Heritage nominations now. we have an awful lot of people who live in the centre of Bath, unlike a lot of other cities where people live more in the outskirts. It would be quite nice to have a central core in which you could see signs that said you are now entering a 20-mile-an-hour zone, this is the weight limit, and get to a stage where people who need to use vehicles to either do a delivery or because of their own access requirements absolutely can. But it is far safer for pedestrians and for cyclists, and the air quality continues to improve.
I keep on about this, and I know we're many months away from it, but once we've finished wishing everybody and each other a happy new year, you guys as an administration are officially into your election year. We've got local elections coming up in May 2023. Hand on heart, will you go to the local electorate proud of what the administration has achieved, even though you've got an issue like this bridge, which has really incensed an awful lot of people?
Yeah, well, I'll answer two questions on that. Yes, I am proud. I'm really proud of what we achieved. And if you look at our manifesto from 2019, we've ticked off a lot of those items, and those that we haven't completely ticked off, they were never going to be done in a 4-year term. We were very clear that some of the big plans we've got in order to transform Bath whilst retaining its uniqueness were going to take more than a 4-year term. And out of our 4-year term, we kind of lost 2 years with COVID. So if I was doing my report card for us as an administration, and I am a notoriously hard marker, I would still be giving us some pretty high marks.